What up, G Life? It's your boy MC Shadow back at you with another video. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and check out the playlist where I have all my videos, and their folders makes the video you're looking for a lot easier. And like and comment and share if possible, because that does help my channel get into the algorithm. You know. Now, what I wanted to talk about was actually something that the homie gave me an idea for this video. One of my subscribers. He's not a gang member himself, but he was insulting this one rapper. Um, you know, everybody has their opinions, however they feel about whoever they want to feel about. But he had made a comment saying about, yeah, and that fool doesn't even live in his neighborhood, and so it's like, whoa. So let me rewind it, because I know, but he's not a gang member, so I could understand why he would believe this to be so. So I'm here to talk about living in your neighborhood. Now, I'm gonna put the math like this, and this is facts, my boy, because this is not only with my neighborhood, but I gone and kicked it with a bunch of homies from different barrios, and it's the same shit all around. So don't tell me that it's just like, oh, you just don't. No. I'm telling you, I got a gang of homies and I actually go to their hoods and chill with them. I'm not just wolfing a good one. You know what I mean? You could ask the rest of the camp from M.O.D. They're from neighborhoods. Anywho, so if there's 200 members to that gang or 500 members to that gang, maybe only about 40 of them actually live in their territory. Out of the 200 or 300 members, maybe only 40 actually live in their varrio. A majority of homies don't live in their neighborhoods, my boy. It's a small percentage of homies that actually living within the zone. Now they could live maybe in the same city or in the cities around it, but in their actual zone, it's less than half. It's less than 1/3% of the hood that actually lives in the actual turf. What people seem to forget all the time is that it's not about living in your neighborhood. It's about going to your neighborhood. There's a difference from living in your neighborhood. You don't have to live in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? There's a difference from living there and going to your neighborhood. I mean, there's buses, there's Heelys, skateboards, scooters, Lyft, Uber, your own car. You know what I mean? Piggyback ride, wooden horse, a magic carpet, a little pony, whatever, dog. But there's ways to get to the barrio, my boy, so you don't gotta live in your neighborhood. That is ridiculous. Only a small percentage of homies actually live in their turf. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't live in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I wanted to buy a house. The houses, there was no houses, in my neighborhood, and it was expensive everywhere around it. So I, live in Southgate or whatever. But I have timed myself how long it takes me to get from, my home to my barrio, and it's only a 25-minute drive with no traffic. So I don't live that far. So you could go to your neighborhood. It's not about living in your neighborhood. I think people get that confused. Now, if people be like, if you love your neighborhood so much, how come you don't live it? That's one thing people don't understand. And even there's some people that get lost in the confusion of all of this. The streets don't choose the homies. The homies choose the streets. Right? Because people want to say that they don't want to raise their kids in the neighborhood because they feel like they'll become gang members if they raise them in the hood. When that's not the case. I think people have all of this confused of their upbringings, and it has to do with our pride. That's the reason why. Because in a barrio, whichever gang it is, in those sectors of blocks, you know what I mean, or in those sectors of streets, you're talking about hundreds of kids that live within that area, and not all of those kids become gang members. Maybe less than half of them, or maybe about half of them, become gang members. Less than half, let's just say. I want to say that it's less than half become gang members. Why didn't the rest of them become gang members then? Because they're all friends. They all mingle together. They're all friends. They talk. They know each other, and they live within the area. But they don't all become gang members. Now, why is that? You get what I'm saying? The streets don't choose the individuals. The individuals choose the streets, and there's a reason why homies choose the streets, and it's not because these homies go into the houses and take them and force them to chill with them and everything. They go there because they feel like they feel comfortable there. They feel like it's home. They feel some kind of connection and bond to them. Now the reason why it's so how could I say it's so attracting to them is because they have never felt that connection nowhere else. They don't feel that bond nowhere else. That's why they gravitate to that, because they don't feel what they feel there anywhere else. Because if they did, then they wouldn't be attracted to that, because their connection, they already have it somewhere else. So therefore this doesn't appeal to them, although they could hang out with them, but they wouldn't choose, to become whatever, because they already have that connection somewhere else. Now why doesn't homies have that connection where these individuals have the connection? And I'm gonna go ahead and assume that they have the connection within their family, within their household. That's why they don't choose to become a part of the streets. See, people want to blame neighborhoods, blame gangs, because the sad, honest truth is, we don't want to look at maybe what really is at fault here. Maybe we didn't have the best childhood. Maybe we didn't have the best household. Now, I have always said this before. People have a misconception of what neglection is. I'm not saying that your parents had to be drug addicts or gang members themselves, or beat you, or anything like that. Your parent could have been a hard-working individual, but see, that's the problem. He's a hard-working individual. He's always at work. So you have no connection to your parents. You have no bonding time, no spending time, no conversations. You know what I mean? All they do is just work, come home, feed you, and put clothes on your back. But there's no communication. There's no bonding. There's no understanding. There's no, son, it's okay to feel this way, or oh, I've been through this before. Consejos and actual emotion and bonding and understanding and helping you understand situations and muscle through it, because there's no time, because they have to always be working. But see, you don't understand that because you're just a child. You get me? So you don't understand that, oh, it's because they're working and everything like that. To you, it's like, man, why doesn't my family get to spend time with me? Like, what's up with that? Like, man, like, you hear all your friends having all these good times, and you don't have no stories to share similar to theirs, because they always got to be at work, or it's their day off and they're too tired to, they just want to be kicking back and watching TV. Neglection is a real thing. Just because you live in the same household as your children doesn't mean you're being a parent. Just because you feed your kids and you buy them stuff doesn't mean you're being a parent. That's not what being a parent is. Being a parent is spending time with your children, doing activities together, knowing your child, conversating with your child, playing with your child at all times, knowing if there's something wrong with them, if there's not something wrong with them, because you guys, it's kind of like if you have your camaradas, right? You have your friends, right? You know when there's something wrong with your homie, because you always kick it with your homie. You always talk to your homie. You always conversate with your homie. So you know when there's something wrong with homie. You feel me? Why can't you have the same vibe towards your child? When people be like, I didn't even know he felt like this, or I didn't even know none of this was going on. Of course you don't, because you don't know your child. Because you never conversate, you never get to even know what kind of music they like, what kind of games they like playing, what kind of activities, the name of their friends. You don't know shit about your kid. All you know is that this is what he likes to eat and this is what he likes to wear. Ahí está el billete. Bam, I did my job. No, you didn't, homie. Anybody could do that. Anybody could just come and give gifts and shit like that. Shit, the government could pay your rent with welfare, with food stamps and everything like that. You're not doing nothing that nobody else could do, my boy. You're not being a parent. Sorry to say, that's not being a parent. I've always said this. Look, where I live is gang infested. I live in a gang infested area, the ghetto. I do. But I live there because it's affordable. I was able to afford it, so you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna come, the good thing's gonna come with its bad, you know what I'm saying? But my kids, are all, my two oldest high school kids. I posted the report cards on, my communities before. Straight A students. They didn't turn to the streets, and I live in a gang infested area, because they understand the bond. You know what I mean? They have the family. See, one thing I have always said, and that is important, and I have videos on here, where 2 times out of the week we play board games, like board games. I'm not saying you have to be with your kids all the time, but there's bonding times. We have board game night, and stuff like that. A board game is very, very, I think it's very helpful. I'm not saying it's the answer, but you'll be surprised how much spending time with your kids just playing a board game will do. It'll work a really great relationship, because you guys are communicating and vibing off of each other and stuff like that. Memories like that go a long way, believe it or not. People think that how much could it possibly be spending with your child, like just playing soccer or football outside or basketball, like how could that actually really actually work and paint their future forward? You'll be surprised, my boy. A lot of people wish that they had those kind of bonds with their families, with their parents. You know, I get told that a lot. You know what I mean? From my son's, friends and stuff like that. Like, man, I wish my dad was like your dad, and stuff like that. And and it's cool. I'm not gonna lie. It feels good to hear that, but at the same time, it's kind of like I feel bad that like the kid sees it that way. Like, damn, like I wonder what his father does, or like it's kind of messed up. You know, I'm always like the favorite deal, when I come around, I'm like, yeah, because, I have nerve battles with them and stuff like that, because I understand those kind of memories. I understand how far it goes. I understand how critical it is to have those kind of bonds. If you have that kind of bond with your father or your mother or whatever, when the homies are right there smoking blunts or drinking 40s right there in the hood, hey, Kyle, homie, and like, nah, I'm gonna go play football with my dad, homie. Like, I'll catch you later, and like they don't got no time for y'all. But if they say Kyle, homie, and your dad never pays attention to you and your family, like, oh, well, I'm just probably gonna be bored alone in my room, so fuck it, I guess, why not, no? You feel me? Spending time like that is crucial, very crucial. People don't understand, how far that shit goes. It goes a long, long, long way. I have a lot of videos right here where I post, shit that I do with my morros and stuff like that. Um, I could see the actual joy and stuff like that. And it's stuff that the way they behave with me is never how I used to behave with my parents. I never felt the emotions that they felt. You know what I mean? Me and my family, we never told you, my boy. My kids are already in high school and middle school and telling me, "Dad, I love you," in front of all their friends. My boy, they have no problems telling me. You know what I mean? And my homies be like, "Damn fool, how do you get your kids to say that and not be embarrassed and shit like that?" And I'm talking about my boys. And it's like, well, like they don't care about nobody else's opinion because we have a bond. You feel me? Um, when you have a bond with somebody, you're not gonna disown that bond just because of other people, because you wouldn't leave your best homie just standing right there while everyone clowned on him or whatever. Like, you wouldn't care what anybody. You're gonna side with your homie. You, despite what anybody else is gonna say, you gonna side with your dog, homie, because you guys have that bond. You feel me? It's I understand that people don't want to look at it that way, because it's like looking at your parents in the wrong. And I'm not saying your parents did it on purpose. Like I said, they were working two jobs. They had to do what they had to do, my boy. You know what I mean? But when it's stuff like that, they could have provided reinsurance, right? At least let you know why things are the way that they are, and at least, when they are home, just spend at least some form of time and some form of conversations. But like I said, it's a new country, different way of running the shows than how they were raised up. I'm not saying that they did it on purpose. Like I said, everybody has their battles, their demons, and their struggles and stuff like that. You get what I mean? I'm not saying that people do it intentionally. Um, but see, it's at least now we could see these errors, and that way we know not to commit them with our kids. And it's funny because 9 times out of 10, homies that are gang members, their parents are not gang related. Very few are, because my family is gang related. But like I said, very few are. Most homies' parents are not gang related. And most homies' kids don't turn out to be gang members, but some do. Some do. But a majority of them don't. Because we understand, what made us. So we do the opposite with our children. You know what I mean? And like I said, people could say that hitting them, works and stuff like that. But there's a reason we don't hit our kids as much as we were hit. Because we knew it wasn't right. So that flies out the window when people want to say that shit. um, because there's a reason you don't hit your kids as much as you were hit. And it's not because you were acting, worse or whatever like that. You hold yourself back more than your parents actually did, because you know why you're holding yourself back, because you know it's not right. You get what I'm saying? Like I said, they're learning curves. Being a parent it's always a learning lesson. You get what I'm saying? It's a difficult task. That's why I've said, if you're not ready, don't become parents, because a parent or how could I say, a role model figure is so crucial to a child's uprising that people have no idea. It's literally what's gonna make or break the individual. Sad but true. Very few kids have the mental capacity to actually muscle through it. There is some out there, but very few. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you know how there's kids that are born athletic or born with photographic memory and stuff like that. Same with this. There's very few kids that actually are born able to handle all of this shit. Call it genetics, call it what you want or whatever. Call it unfair. That's just how the brain works. There's tons and tons of evidence to prove this. But nobody wants to look at the fucking science because everybody feels like they're right and they have the answer. I know that religion and science don't go hand in hand, and maybe because of that, that plays a fault too. Because a lot of people choose to not believe in the science because they rather believe in their faith. But sometimes that's ignorance. That's not actually believing in your faith. You know what I mean? You're just using that as an excuse of why you should be right. But this is just like my idea of like how it is coming in the barrio and actually living in your barrio. You don't gotta live in your barrio. You know what I mean? Like you could just go to your barrio. You could drive there. Hardly any homie lives in their hood. Like I said, it's a very small percentage of them do. You get what I mean? And living in the neighborhood doesn't mean that your kids are going to turn out to be gang members, because the streets don't choose the children choose the streets, and there's a reason for that. You get what I mean? I'm just saying. I'm Shadow. We out.